Composer and jazz pianist Billy Childs grew up immersed in music and began performing on the piano by age 6. A native of Los Angeles, he has worked with Chick Corea, Yo-Yo Ma, Sting, and Gladys Knight. Throw in the LA Philharmonic, Detroit Symphony, and Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra. Billy Childs is also a 6-time Grammy Award-winning composer, picking up his latest Grammy this year for Best Jazz Instrumental Album. And this barely scratches the surface. Composer and saxophonist Stephen Banks is the first saxophonist to capture first place at the Young Concert Artists Susan Wadsworth International Auditions. He is an advocate for equity in music education and performance and overcoming institutional prejudices. Stephen reached out to Billy to collaborate and create this piece, Diaspora, Concerto for Saxophone and Orchestra. This season, Stephen Banks is touring the concerto that was co-commissioned by 9 orchestras, including the Minnesota Orchestra, along with young concert artists. Diaspora makes its premiere with the Minnesota Orchestra tonight. Please welcome Billy Childs and Stephen Banks. So I'm thrilled to be here tonight for the premiere of Diaspora. Billy, would you tell us a little bit about this piece?
Yes. First of all, it's so great to be here in this beautiful concert hall. This piece was, as you mentioned, commissioned by young concert artists and more specifically Stephen Banks, excuse me, and it's pretty much a chronicle of the Black American experience in the United States, a programmatic piece which is anchored by 3 poems that we decided on. One was by a great poet, Naira Waheed. It's called Africa's Lament. And then Claude McKay, Harlem Renaissance poet, wrote If We Must Die, and then, of course, Maya Angelou wrote And Still I Rise. And these 3 poems kind of are guideposts in the progression of the piece.
So, Stephen, what was it like picking up the phone to call Billy Childs and try and talk him into doing this commission for you?
Well, of course, approaching any composer is a little bit scary, but when they have, 5 or 6 Grammys or whatever, it's even more intimidating. But I thought that there was a real symbiotic relationship between the saxophone, myself, and Billy Childs. All of us having some stake in jazz, but also having the expression of classical music in many ways at our roots. The saxophone being an instrument that was invented, well before jazz existed, to play in the orchestra actually, and then going into jazz after that. So I thought it would be a great fit, and so I reached out, and I was just very excited that he was happy to do it.
So quickly, do you have any anecdotes you want to share about working with this young man? Either way, we're calling each other young men here.
Well, I appreciate the young man comment, probably more than he does. Nothing anecdotal, it was just it was a natural, organic process and relationship. I heard Stephen playing on a YouTube clip of just a solo saxophone piece, and I think it was a piece that you wrote. He's an incredible composer as well. And I fell in love with the saxophone. I have a lot of experience writing for saxophone in a jazz context, but when I heard him, I knew I could really collaborate with him. So there's no real anecdote.
Well, thank you both for being here. Welcome to Minnesota, and we can't wait to hear Diaspora.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.